Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Denise Salcedo, and today we're going to be chatting all about WWE NXT 2.0, the November 30th edition, the go-home show heading into NXT WarGames, the first ever takeover for this new NXT 2.0 era that's happening this Sunday. So we actually had a pretty awesome show. So I'll tell you this much. I think in comparison to like all of the past episodes from NXT 2.0, we had a really good like introductory episode into NXT 2.0. And then after that, things kind of went a little bit downhill. But I gotta say that today was probably the best NXT 2.0 show that we have had in a while. And the reason why I say that was that this show did not feel overwhelming. I think there's a lot of episodes of NXT that feel very overwhelming where we're getting just so much information like left and right. There was an episode or like multiple episodes where we were being introduced to so many new talents where it was like, who's this person? Who's that person? And all of these new characters that had these very different personas, and we were getting all of these stories, and it kind of felt like too much. And then we got a period or a good amount of period mixed in where we were just getting a bunch of like really whatever matches that didn't really mean anything and all of that. But this episode of NXT did not feel that way. We had a really good opening match. We had some great in-ring action in between the show, and we closed off with a really fun main event. So overall, they kind of incorporated a lot of good in-ring wrestling. Additionally, we did get to see some new faces here today. We got some new vignettes, but it didn't feel overwhelming. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that in just a second. We're going to recap all of the biggest moments of the night. But before we get started, I do want to welcome each and every single person that is watching this stream. First and foremost, if you guys do want to take part in the chat, please make sure that you guys are active. I do read your guys' comments as we go throughout the entire show. I get your thoughts, your opinions, etc. Additionally, if you want to make sure that not only you get your comment, question, or statement read on this stream, but you also can support me by sending in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, F4W does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds that I make from all super chats on all of my shows. They do help me out very much, and you will get your comment or question read on this show. So we're going to kick things off with our first super chats that we just received, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap and talk about this show in a very nice chronological format. But we got our first super chat. This one is from Darth Stevens C777, who says, let's go. Denise fights evil by moonlight. Fighting evil by moonlight, winning love by daylight. I think I got that right. Thank you so much, Darth, for sending in that super chat. Anima Master sends in a super chat saying, what's your take on the reports about WWE asking fans for some input on NXT 2.0? I find it weird that WWE actually cares what fans want. So I have not seen that report just yet, so I don't want to comment on it too much because I have not seen it. But in terms of like asking for like surveys and for asking people for opinions like that, I don't see anything wrong in that. I see like a lot of the things that I watch like outside of wrestling, I've done like the surveys and all of that good stuff. When I go to Fan Access, they've asked me to do surveys there, you know, all of that good stuff. So I don't necessarily like mind it. I feel like people should I think people should be asking in general to their audiences, hey, what do you want to see on the show? So thank you so much to Anima Masters for sending in that super chat. But we got some good comments in here, guys. We got a lot of people basically saying that this was a good episode of NXT. Chair Relax says awful show except opening match. I gotta disagree. I think that this is honestly the best episode of NXT 2.0. So make that what you will. I know a lot of people absolutely hate and despise NXT 2.0 because I cover it every single week. I go into it with a different lens, with a different eye. I try to see it differently, because if I go into the show like immediately expecting to hate the show, then I'm not going to enjoy my job. So I got to go into NXT 2.0 with an open mind, or else these next 3 hours are just going to be brutal for me. And I say 3 hours because it's obviously, a 2-hour show. And on top of that, I do this 1-hour post show. So I go into this show with a different lens than probably some other people might while watching this show. We got Matt Blakey saying, I was sports entertained. I think you can say that. We were sports entertained, ladies and gentlemen. Sarah Machine Gun says that this was a hot opener, a hot closer, and Braun looked awesome. We'll talk about that main event, because I thought they did a really good job with Braun Breaker, and we'll get into that in just a second. But we got a comment from Zeno Hour who says, hey, Denise, another solid NXT episode. Love the ladder matches. I agree. We had really good ladder matches for today. Matt Kensley says, I was only half paying attention for most of the show, but it seemed meh to all right. I do need to go back and rewatch the opening match, though. Well, now that you got us talking about the opening match, let's dive right into it, because this was probably this was my second favorite of match of the night, and it could be up there. I think I liked it just as much. It was like two. See, the thing is, we got two. I really liked the main event. And obviously they were both, ladder matches. They were both, for the War Games advantage. But I think that they brought something so different that it's kind of hard for me to say, oh, I liked this match more than the other. But I gotta say, I thought that this opening match was absolutely phenomenal. And I don't even think that I was expecting to be as impressed by it as I was. But here we go. We had Kaylee Ray versus Dakota Kai for the War Games ladder match advantage. So the reason why this match was good is, first and foremost, I need to put over Dakota Kai and Kaylee Ray, because they had really good chemistry with one another. Their in-ring chemistry was definitely on point during this match. And the thing that I particularly liked about this is that there wasn't a moment in this match where I felt that one woman was better than the other woman. I think a lot of what we've been seeing on NXT, because we're seeing an influx of new people coming into the show, new talents, and every so often we get them mixed in there with people that are a little bit more seasoned on NXT. You have this person's so much better than that person. So you kind of see that, it's not like it's hard to explain, but you didn't really get that with this match. Both of these women felt on par with one another. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are probably bigger Dakota Kai fans or bigger Kaylee Ray fans, but that kind of didn't necessarily matter in this match, because the one thing that I think that they did really good in this is that they were really vibing off of each other. So both of them started this match off really hot and really, really aggressive. So every time you had one woman do something, the other would essentially not let her get away with it and bring her own fire into the match. And that's what we saw. A lot of this match was like really 50-50, where instead of saying like, oh, Dakota Kai had the upper hand throughout the entire match, no, you didn't really get that. You got a nice balance of every time one woman thought she won up to the other came back with something. And I think that's what made this match much more exciting, was that they went in there and they were literally like brutal with one another. And I think that got them both over during this match. So they started off hot. They incorporated the ladder really quickly. I really love that. Right off the top of this match, we see Kaylee Ray go for a front forward flip off the top rope. We see Dakota Kai literally just like slam the hell out of Kaylee Ray's elbow and her face into the steel steps. From there, we go into like so many more different spots in which we see Kaylee Ray dive literally onto Dakota Kai, slams her right into the ladder, hurting her midsection. That was pretty brutal. And afterwards, we see some good moments, including Dakota Kai doing a nice double stomp on Kaylee Ray. We see exchanges where they're both at the top of the ladder and they're just punching the hell out of each other back and forth. There's a moment where I don't even know what the hell Kaylee Ray did to Dakota Kai, but somehow she ended up upside down on the ladder, and her body ended up kind of like sliding down towards one side of the ladder. That was brutal too. Dakota Kai hits a double stomp from the top of the ladder to Kaylee Ray. That was fun. And in the end, we do see Kaylee Ray get the win and earn the advantage for her team. I will say this. I thought that Dakota Kai should have been the one to win this match because I think her team should have been the ones getting the advantage during this match. It would just make a little bit more sense to me. But other than that, I love this match, and this was a really good way of kicking off the show. So thoughts, guys, send in your thoughts. How did you feel about this match? What do you think about freaking Kaylee Ray's team getting essentially getting the War Games advantage for this Sunday? Go ahead and send in your thoughts. We got a super chat from Malcolm Mitchell who says, Kaylee Ray representing. Hell yeah, dude. And here's the thing about this. Like, this is the one thing that makes me excited. So I recently chatted with Beth Phoenix. We just did an interview with Beth. And Beth was basically, talking about how, things have changed for the commentary side of things because they really have to put over this new character. They're trying to get people ready to go to the main roster. So she made it more clear, like, hey, we really are getting people trying to get them ready for the main roster versus like before we were seeing a select few people go to the main roster and other people weren't going to the main roster. And I'm looking at this match and I'm thinking, what the hell, man? Like, it's still so astonishing to me that Dakota Kai is not yet on that main roster. To me, she's already like one of my favorite women across the board on all of WWE, including Raw, including SmackDown, including NXT. She's been doing a phenomenal job. And same thing to Kaylee Ray. I don't want to take anything away from Kaylee Ray, but I think a lot of us were expecting for this to already happen for Dakota Kai. But whenever Dakota Kai gets moved up to the main roster, she is definitely going to add a lot of good stuff there. So thank you so much to Malcolm for sending in this comment here. And let's see what we got here. This is a comment from Brandon who says, heels having the advantage in War Games makes better sense for sure. Hopefully they will tell a good story during the match on Sunday. I really hope they do. Sour Machine Gun says Dakota and gimmick matches are a great combo. And Marcus8915 says NXT 2.0 needed a good show like this heading into War Games. It really did, because we've been talking about how so much of the buzz for NXT 2.0 has drastically gone down. And I feel like, I've talked about this a million times, but there is such little interest when I tweet about NXT versus when I tweet about any other show. And that is that's the way that I kind of gauge how popular things are, and gauging what goes on social media. That's a really good way for me to figure out, like, hey, people are interested in this and people aren't interested in that. And my NXT tweets have just completely dried up ever since we've gone into this NXT 2.0. And even talking about it on these post shows, my most popular show of the week is AEW Dynamite. And then my Friday show, it really kind of depends on how good SmackDown was or how good Rampage was. But there has been this decrease in interest in NXT 2.0 because a lot of people, there's this not for them. So for me to come out here and say, finally, we had a decent show with some good matches, makes me very, very freaking happy, because that's what I need to see. Given that I cover this show every week, I need them to put on some good wrestling. So we definitely got that with this opening match here. And let's go ahead and see what we got. Some other comments. Here we go. This one's from Justin Martin, who says, just generally speaking, it really doesn't make sense for faces to win the matches like this. Heels being underdogs and having to overcome the odds really seems backwards. It is backwards, and I 100% agree. I feel like you should definitely have the heels winning in this to get the advantage, because it does feel very backwards. So that's the one thing where I'm like, all right, if you could have tweaked anything, that's definitely it right there. And Matt Kensley says, I decided to check the trending tab on Twitter 45 minutes into the show, and it was at number 10. I talked about this last week, guys. I go into the Twitter feeds. I check. I see, how's this show performing? What's the interest? Who are people talking about, etc. It's not looking good for NXT. And if Geek over here notices it, I'm pretty sure they noticed it too. Thank you so much to Mac for sending in this comment as well. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into our next topic. But next up, we got Andre Chase versus Cameron Grimes. Now, they didn't really. I thought they were going to do maybe a little bit more with this match. This was a rather quick match, like quick. We saw Cameron Grimes in there. He's picking up the speed, doing his thing. I mean, this match, I don't even know how long it was, but it felt like less than 2 minutes. I don't know. It was super fast. We get Cameron Grimes gets the win. There's really nothing much to say about that. But the post-match stuff, afterwards, we had Duke Hudson coming on to piece there. So they've been doing this thing on NXT where they have guys talk on like this platform. And so I think they had Imperium there last week, and they might have did they have MSK? No, I think it was Imperium. Okay, so it was Imperium, and then this week they had Duke Hudson. So Duke Hudson's up on that platform, and he's basically showing a bunch of like photo edits of Cameron Grimes with all of these different hairstyles. It's supposed to be funny. It wasn't funny. This is the one thing where I'm like, ooh, this was a little bit of a miss. This was not funny. I think given how good Cameron Grimes is at the comedy stuff, they should probably reverse things a little bit and maybe have Cameron Grimes take over a little bit more of the comedic aspect of this story, because it really wasn't working. Like the whole trying to put his face up there with, different hairstyles, it didn't make me pop. However, there was one thing that did make me pop a little bit, and that's when Duke Hudson made fun of Cameron Grimes' accent. And that was literally it. So there really wasn't much. The Duke Hudson, Cameron Grimes storyline for me has been one of the biggest, for me personally, one of the biggest flops of NXT 2.0, because I have not been liking what they've been doing with Duke Hudson and Cameron Grimes. Like, out of all of the stories that we've been getting, this one for me has been the least interesting by far. And let's see what we got here, guys. Any interesting comments on this one here? This one is from Daniel Rodriguez, who says, NXT 2.0 has lost more of the hardcore wrestling fans that were invested in the original product, which I can see why, but the past two shows have been great, and us wrestling fans are just impatient, which makes it 50-50. That's the thing. I think that the people that stuck around, I don't know. See, it's just two different things. Like, I do not blame the like hardcore wrestling fan base that was watching NXT because NXT was the cool thing to watch, back in the day. And you were seeing all of these brilliant freaking matches that were just, outstanding. And it was an entirely different world back then, an entirely different thing. And so the fact that those people are gone and don't have any interest, I don't blame them, because this is a mini version, or, a lot of people were saying Raw Light, SmackDown Light. This is exactly what NXT 2.0 is. It's not the old NXT no more. It's the Raw Light. It's SmackDown Light. So if that's what if you're interested in that, then you're interested. If you're not, then you're not. That's just what it is now. All right. We're going to go ahead and move in. We're jumping into our next topic here. But before we do, friendly reminder, guys, if you want to get your question, comment, or statement read on the stream, you can go ahead and send in a super chat, and I will go ahead and read your comment. But let's go ahead and get into this Braun Breaker, Johnny Gargano thing. So they had the fans essentially vote online. I didn't vote, but they had the fans vote for who should take part in the men's War Games Advantage ladder match. It was revealed that it'd be Johnny Gargano, and then it was revealed that it'd be Braun Breaker. The only thing to talk about here is that Johnny Gargano called Braun Breaker the big bad booty nephew, and that was it. That was hilarious. That was the one thing you needed to know, and we're going to move on, and we'll talk about Braun Breaker and Johnny Gargano once we actually get to the main event. But let's talk about this MSK shaman angle that they've been running. So they've been doing this whole thing where MSK is sort of been on this adventure. They haven't been wrestling. They haven't been at the Capitol Wrestling Center. They have been on this adventure, on this journey, trying to find the shaman who apparently is the person behind the MSK name. That's the story that they've been telling. They've been walking, they've been flying, they've been renting cards. They definitely got pulled over. They almost got arrested. All of this, adventurous things have been happening to MSK. But now MSK is essentially, they get to the location. They officially get to where the shaman lives or where he's staying at, whatever. They didn't really emphasize that, but they get there. They open the door and you just see this like massive bright light, this purple light, this fog, this bright lights, all of this. And we get glimpses of who the shaman is. So we get a shot of the person's boots, and it's definitely a guy, FYI, just in case anybody thought it'd be a woman. No, it's definitely a guy. And you just see the boot. You see the boot, and it looks like he's wearing like a black boot, maybe some black pants. And then you get a second image where it's just, you don't really get to see much of anything, but it is somebody essentially dressed like in all black. So here's my question for you in the chat. Who the hell do you think the shaman is? Who do you think it is? Send in your predictions, because I think on Twitter I saw some like pretty like wild, very out there predictions that I didn't really feel were possible. In terms of like who I think it is, I don't necessarily feel like I have a solid answer for this one, because I thought they were going one direction, but now I feel like they're going an entirely different direction here. So send in your predictions. Let's see what people are saying here. This is a prediction from Jordan Booth, who says, I'm calling it, Elias is the shaman. I think I've seen maybe 2 other people on my Twitter feed say that. I don't know if more people were saying it on the NXT hashtag. I did not check that one, but I did see somebody else saying that they do think it could be Elias. But I don't know if this makes sense to me, though. That doesn't necessarily make sense. I mean, well, maybe in WWE world, it would make sense, because technically he's dead. He died. Would you say he killed him? He didn't kill himself, though. Like, he's died. Elias is dead. That's all we know. We see the tombstone, and that's it, right? Okay, and then we haven't seen him on Raw in like months now. So we haven't heard from him. We haven't seen anything from him. And he's not going to be doing the guitar character anymore. That's not going to be happening. So there is, I think, a possibility. If you really think about it, I think there's a possibility that it could be him, but I don't know. I'm reaching. I feel like I'm reaching by saying that it could be Elias. But in the sense that we saw Mandy Rose go from being in the main roster to NXT, why can't we see Elias go from the main roster to NXT? And given the fact that there's really nothing for him to do on the main roster, then might as well come out and have him come out as a shaman. But in terms of like how MSK has been talking about who the shaman is, it doesn't make sense for it to be Elias. You get me? You got me. All right. Thank you so much to Jordan Booth for sending in that super chat. We got people saying that they also think that it's Triple H. That's the direction that I thought they were going in, but I don't know. Malcolm Mitchell says William Regal, surely. I don't think that they would be promoting William Regal like that, though. Like, why would William Regal be in this like fog lights look? It doesn't make sense either to me. We got a super chat from 554K who says, even though I don't watch NXT 2.0, I watch all of your reviews. Thank you for all the great content and hard work. Keep up the great work. Much love. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me, guys. This show is nothing without you guys and without your support. And I am like forever like grateful to each and every single person who tunes into these. Thank you so much for sending in the super chat. And we got people also, I saw a couple of predictions where people thought that it was RVD. I do not think so. Definitely do not think so. We got Bot Juice saying Sabu. I don't think so either. Brandon says, hopefully it's not Samoa Joe. I want him to have nothing to do with this. It could be Samoa Joe. I think it could be Samoa Joe. I mean, he's still technically part of the brand. We just haven't heard of anything from him. So why can't it be Samoa Joe? I feel like it would make more sense for it to be Samoa Joe than Elias. But so far right now, Elias and Samoa Joe feels like the strongest options, which I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't really know if that's a good thing. We got another super chat from Brandon Charles Powell who says, clearly it's the golden eggs with arms and legs now. My God, I got to say something. My favorite thing about coming on and doing these shows is that we have a very funny chat. There's always people making me laugh on this show. I appreciate it. The golden egg with arms and legs. Jesus Christ. I hope not. My goodness. All right. Daniel Rodriguez says, big question is how can you go on and talk and stay upbeat and not yet have gone for a gulp of water? You have some strong loves, strong lungs. If you guys notice, I don't really drink that much when I do my solo post shows because I have too much going on in my head. But let's go ahead and move on. We do not know who the shaman is right now as of late. I feel like everybody's going a different direction with this. I don't know what Triple H's health status is right now. I think the last thing Stephanie McMahon said is that he's doing good. That was the original direction that I thought they were going in. That's just like the feeling that I got that was going to be, but I don't think so now. Like now I could see it more as the strongest options, like I just said, possibly Elias, possibly Samoa Joe. So we'll see where this goes. If you watched a replay of this, drop a comment. Let us know what your brilliant prediction is, because clearly I don't have one. All right, let's get into this. We're going to jump into Kyle O'Reilly, Von Wagner versus Wilde and Mendoza. So this was essentially for tag team match. We had stakes on the line. Whoever won this match is going to go on to face Imperium at WarGames. So Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner do get the win in this match. However, I do want to take a second to talk a little bit about what we saw in this match and what I particularly liked about it. So first and foremost, I am happy that they are finally highlighting Wilde and Mendoza as a tag team. I think for a long time, they were too much in the shadows of Santos Escobar, and it worked. It worked because obviously we had Santos Escobar as the NXT Cruiserweight champion, so having Wilde and Mendoza essentially be his buddies, his guys doing the dirty work for them, I thought it definitely worked in that period in time. But for a long time, though, they were still sort of not the focal point, and these last couple of weeks, they've been feeling a little bit more like the focal point of Legado del Fantasma along with Electra Lopez. And now I am curious, like I know we have a matchup that was announced later on with Zion Quinn and Santos Escobar for next week's NXT, but it does kind of feel like they're not really too entirely sure where they're sort of seeing Santos Escobar in all of this. Santos Escobar, as of late, has kind of been a big, giant question mark. He wasn't on the show for a bit. He came back, and the story really wasn't all of that clear. And now he's back, and he's, doing his thing, but now he's sort of in the background here. Now, I don't necessarily want him to be in the background, but at the same time, I'm glad that they're actually highlighting Mendoza and Wilde as a team because they are a legitimately good team. And every time those two guys go out there and they have a match, it's always a good match. And they had a pretty decent one with Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly here tonight. So one of the parts that I did like here, I thought they made Von Wagner. He looked pretty impressive during this match. He came out there, he went out there and showed off, his power. There was a moment where he was essentially manhandling both members of Legado del Fantasma, especially Mendoza, who he literally just practically just completely manhandled in the ring. I like that. Von Wagner for me wasn't getting over in other ways, but now when they show his power in these matches, and when you have, these guys who are a lot smaller than him, it does look pretty impressive. So I did like that, but I especially loved the exchange between Wilde and Kyle O'Reilly because them both, holy damn, they were just exchanging a bunch of blows with one another. And then Kyle O'Reilly literally tries to take him down, but is unable to with the leg sweep. So then he misses that leg sweep, and essentially we get Wilde essentially hitting him with a DDT. Oh, I love this. I love that entire portion of them going at it. That was a lot of fun. But we do end up seeing Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly get the win here. But now we got to talk about the telenovela aspect of it. And the soap opera aspect of this is that there seems to be something going on, and we've been seeing this the last couple of weeks between Electra Lopez and freaking Zion Quinn. So Zion Quinn does come out during this match, and he kind of eye tangos. That's what I'm calling it. They were sharing this eye contact moment, him and Electra Lopez. They were tangoing, but with their eyes. And they were having this strong, sort of passionate moment where they're looking into each other's eyes. And I'm thinking, is he mesmerized by her? Is he going to do the Dexter Lumis, Indi Hartwell thing where he's just looking at her and he wants her so bad? And for a second, they had me fooled because they were looking at each other. But then he ends up attacking Santos Escobar. And I don't think Santos Escobar expected it either, because I think he was like all of us, staring at Zion Quinn and Electra Lopez have this moment together. So my prediction is, I based on what we've been seeing, based on the fact that Elektra Lopez has this, seems to have this appeal, like she seems to be attracted by Zion Quinn, I'm thinking that she's either going to turn on Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma. I think she might turn on them and maybe align herself with Zion Quinn, or she's going to make Zion Quinn believe that she's aligning herself with them, but then in turn do like a double turn and not essentially betray Legado del Fantasma. So I think they're going to play that up a lot. I think the next couple of weeks, we're going to kind of see what really is the motivation, what really is the plan or the agenda that Elektra Lopez has between Zion Quinn and Santos Escobar and Wilde and Mendoza and all of those guys. So it is going to be, I guess you can say, interesting to see where her loyalty really lies. But I think that today they kind of telegraphed that we probably cannot trust Elektra Lopez. That really feels the direction that they are heading in there with that. Additionally, we are seeing Zion Quinn versus Santos Escobar next week on NXT. So we'll probably get a better idea of where they're going with all of that in just a second. And we got a comment from Walter. He agrees. Good match between Kyle Reilly and Von Wagner. Nice win for all of them. And Malcolm Mitchell says, Zion can't resist forever. Who could? Who could? Damn. I can't even resist Elektra Lopez. Damn. Girl comes out there looking gorgeous. All right, we're moving on from this. Oh, God. All right, let's go ahead and move on from this. After this, we get a vignette for Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffany Stratton, we talked about her a lot last week, but again, she's doing the whole like white chicks gimmick, daddy's, I forgot what she's calling herself, daddy's little girls. I don't know, something like that. And this time, she's in my neck of the woods, ladies and gentlemen. Tiffany is out shopping in Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. And I actually kind of like this. I gotta say, I'm a little bit of a sucker for this character because I like bougie, diva-ish type of characters if they do them right. Now, right now, we're just in the beginning of it all. I'm not totally in love with it just yet, but I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it, okay? I do not hate this Tiffany Stratton character. I like this because when she was talking about where she shops and the kind of lifestyle that she lives, she's talking about how she, the stores that she goes to, they don't have Black Friday sales. They don't have Cyber Monday sales. And let me tell you something, she is right. They do not do that in those like high-end boutique luxury stores, okay? They do not do Black Friday sales or Cyber Monday, okay? So I really like this. I thought this was fun. It is a little bit silly, though. It is a little bit silly. But see, there's a moment where she says, like, Daddy says I can do and have anything I want, and I want to be an NXT wrestler. So if you think about it too hard, you're thinking, okay, honey, you could have been an actress. Your dad could have hooked you up and you could have been, an actress someplace, If you really think about it too hard, you start to think about it like that. I'm sure Daddy could have gotten her a record deal, but no, she wants to be an NXT wrestler. But for the sake of the story, for the sake of the story that they're telling on NXT 2.0, it's fine. Good stuff there with Tiffany Stratton. And, all right, let's go ahead and, we didn't get anything from, so Ed Jones asked about Lash Legend. We didn't get anything with Lash Legend here tonight. I think we got something from her last week or the week before. I think the last thing we saw was that interview. I think the last thing we saw with Lash Legend was that interview with Tony D'Angelo, was it not? Or did she do something afterwards? Because that's the last memory I have of Lash Legend was that interview with Tony D'Angelo. All right, guys. And yeah, we talked about this, guys. Cornell Harden brings up the fact that Tiffany is replacing Frankie Monet. We talked about this last week. I brought this up immediately last week. It's super obvious that they are repackaging the Frankie Monet character into Tiffany Stratton and maybe going a little bit further, but that was something that Frankie Monet was doing on NXT, or maybe not to the extreme of being Daddy's little girl, but more so like the bougie and the luxury and, the big fur coats and all of that. So it is that character, just a little bit different, just a tad bit different. And Mohamed points out that the last time we saw Lash Legend was 3 weeks ago. Was that really 3 weeks ago? Jesus, time flies by. All right, guys, let's get into this next topic here because we all know it. We all know it. We all know that everybody here is a big Joe Gacy fan. That's it. This is the Joe Gacy Stan Club. By the way, that's not really true. But you know what? He does provide me good meme material, so respect. All right, Joe Gacy hosts this all-inclusive invitational. Now, this is where I'm going to lead you guys to listen here, because this segment was very, very ironic. When you think about the entire thing, and when you think about reports that have came out about the talent that WWE is looking for, and you have this segment that Joe Gacy did, it feels very ironic. And I think that's the point. It's supposed to be ironic. I think they're mocking, personally, my opinion is I think they're mocking a lot of the reports that have came out about what NXT is looking for. Okay? That's what this feels like. So for those of you guys who did not watch this, let me give you a quick rundown of what actually went down here. So we had Joe Gacy essentially saying that he's doing an all-inclusive invitational. Joe Gacy has been basically coming out talking about how people shouldn't weight shame, how he doesn't like toxic masculinity, how he likes, big groups to come together for a cause and all of this. And we know that that his character is essentially this very over-exaggerated version of what people think woke culture is, or all of that good stuff, right? So that's what that character is. We've established that now, okay? I was a little bit confused in the beginning, but we've established what Joe Gacy is now. So he comes out and he has 3 people in the ring with him. So he has a guy that I didn't catch his name, but he's a smaller guy, tiny. So not too tiny, but a smaller guy. Okay. They have a woman, and then they have a larger fella. So they have someone kind of representing a little bit of everything here. So he basically says that he brought out these 3 people because there is, in his invitational, in his all-inclusive invitational, there is no gender bias, which is why he has a woman out there. There is no weight shaming, which is why he has a larger guy there. And there is essentially no shaming smaller people, which is why he has the shorter guy there. So this to me felt ironic, because the reports that we have seen is that, that WWE is looking for, for the women that they are looking for, they're looking for certain ages, obviously skewing a lot younger. For the guys, they're looking for, those big guys, athletic, short guys aren't necessarily cutting it for them. All of that. We've all heard those reports. So for me, I kind of felt like they were mocking that with this segment. So I don't know, maybe I read too much into it, but that's what we got there. So they tease that he's going to wrestle all these 3 people. He only wrestles the first guy, which is the short guy. He only wrestles him. It's a quick match. Joe Gacy wins. They tease that he's going to wrestle the girl, and they're getting excited because I think Beth Phoenix is like, oh, are we going to get an intergender match here? And I'm thinking, all right, let's do this. But we don't. Instead, Diamond Mine comes out, and Malcolm Bivens goes on and on, basically addressing the match that he's going to be having, that Roderick Strong is going to be having with Joe Gacy. But in the end, this essentially ends up with Joe Gacy hitting his clothesline on Roderick Strong, and that's pretty much the end of this. So we don't actually get to see Joe Gacy wrestle the girl or the bigger guy either. We don't see that. So what did you guys think of this? Do you agree with me? And did you think this segment was ironic? Do you think this kind of felt like a big rib? Do you think it was sort of mocking that? Or do you think that this is just, I don't know, whatever? Go ahead and send in your thoughts. I am curious to see if you guys read this segment the exact same way that I did here. And so let's see what we got here. Let me start off with a couple of the Joe Gacy stuff here. Make sure I go where we are. Okay, here we go. Jordan Booth says, I love Joe Gacy about as much as Johnny Gargano loves wheels. And Zeno Hour says this was the best Joe Gacy segment ever. Or segment yet? Well, his segments have been weird. So it depends on what you consider to be good. If you consider the weird stuff to be good, then okay. In terms of this being the best segment ever, I don't think so. Like, not for me. I think for me, I strangely like I don't know. I can't even say I have a favorite. I don't even have a favorite Joe Gacy promo. For me, I just look to see where like what the heck weird stuff they're going to do this week with Joe Gacy. That's what I look for. I don't think I have a favorite though. I don't think I have a favorite at all. Zeno Roberts also says, based on what Beth Phoenix said on commentary, I think we may finally have character development for Joe Gacy. Sour Machine Gun says this plus Von Wagner basically being nothing matters except social media. Nothing Vince loves more than his irony characters. And we got people basically saying that they do sort of agree with what my analysis of this was. Some guy says, I just wanted to see the intergender match, Alameo. I wanted to see it too, man. I know a lot of people, some people don't like intergender wrestling. Some people do like intergender wrestling. I like intergender wrestling when it's done right and when it's done in an entertaining way. They probably weren't going to do it that way here, but I was still curious. Like, I don't mind the intergender wrestling stuff. I know a lot of people do, but I personally don't. And alrighty, guys. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our next topic here. But before we do, a friendly reminder, guys, do not forget to return tomorrow. Tomorrow I do cover AEW Dynamite. That is my most popular show of the week. It's going to be a good one, so make sure you guys tune in. Additionally, I will be back on Friday to talk AEW Rampage and WWE Smackdown, so that should be pretty fun as well. We got 2 more big shows happening this week, and then I will be doing the NXT WarGames post show with Sean, so that'll be pretty fun as well. But now let's get into Idris Inoue. I hope I'm saying his last name right, versus Solo Sikoa. So this was interesting, guys. This was an interesting one because, okay, so first of all, I think when you look at this match, when you look at Idris versus Solo, automatically you think, okay, this match is just to get Solo over, to get him another win, to, keep building him up on the NXT roster. I think that's the vibe that I originally got. However, because they did take the time to promote Idris in this video package that they did before the match, I kind of felt like, okay, they must see something in him, or else why would they just have him go out there and be this designated jobber for Solo Sikoa? They did not do that with Idris. So I want to take a second to put over Idris because first and foremost, he is representing my neck of the woods. He is from Inglewood, California, which is just about 20 minutes away from where I live. And that is where WrestleMania is going to be taking place. When WrestleMania comes down here to Los Angeles, it is going to be in Inglewood, which is where SoFi Stadium is at. So it will be there. That's where all the magic is going to go down for WrestleMania in Los Angeles. So first and foremost, I was like, yeah, I'm already going to root for this guy because he's a SoCal guy. You got to represent. Anyways. So he was actually part of the recent Las Vegas tryouts. So this, for SummerSlam, they had the Las Vegas tryouts where they had people essentially sign up, go. They did a 2-day tryout thing with Triple H. Samoa Joe was there. Pretty much Matt Bloom was there. William Regal was there. All of the important NXT people were there, essentially scouting the talent. And I was there. I did the coverage for that. I got to interview Triple H after that. And a lot of talent were signed from that. So now he is essentially making his NXT debut here tonight, which you guys all saw. He's going by the epitome of excellence, a little bit of background information on him. He trained over at Level Up Pro Wrestling School, which is where B-Boy is the head trainer, and that is where he essentially trained. And he is also a former logistics specialist at the U.S. Navy, so that was interesting as well. But here's the good thing about this, and this is why I particularly like this, and I want to put over Idris here, because in terms of him going out and having this match, we already knew Solo Sikoa was going to get this win. But personally, in terms of what we've seen, okay, we've been seeing a lot of new people on NXT 2.0, okay? Not everybody has been impressive in the ring first time in there, okay? Based on a lot of the people that I have seen, Idris in this one match was more impressive than some of the other people that we have been seeing, okay? He has a really good look, and I'm just going to say it. I thought he was more impressive than what we've seen from Solo Sikoa. I thought he was more impressive in the ring from what we've seen from Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo is a strong character, but in-ring wise, I still haven't been completely like OMG about it. I thought Idris was more impressive than what we've seen from Duke Hudson in the ring, and also more impressive than freaking, oh my God, I'm skipping somebody. Oh yeah, Andre Chase and Joe Gacy. So in terms of in-ring wise, I thought that I was more impressed by him in this like one matchup than a lot of those other guys that I just named based on in-ring work. I also think he has a pretty damn good look, and he has presence, and physique-wise, add that to the good look because he looks good in there. So far, I'm feeling pretty positive about Idris out here on NXT. I think he's going to be somebody to kind of keep an eye out on. Him along with Grayson Waller have probably been some of my, and obviously, including Braun Breaker and, him as well, have been some of my favorites in terms of people that we're starting to see here on NXT 2.0. But in terms of the newer guys, I thought that we need to keep an eye out for Idris on here as well. And, but we did see Solo dominate a first portion of this match, but they did give Idris a lot of good stuff during this match. There was a moment where we saw Solo hit several strikes on Idris, and then he hits a senton. That was fun. It goes for a near fall. They didn't have him essentially pin him right after that, which they easily could have, but they gave him a little bit more. And this was the interesting thing, is that like, even though this match was supposed to be like not just a showcase for Solo Sikoa, but also a showcase for Idris, which I personally like. So I thought both guys ended up looking good in this. Like I said, I was more impressed by Idris, but in the end, we did see Solo Sikoa pick up the victory. So keep an eye out for him. All right, guys, what did you think of Idris's debut? How have you guys been feeling about Solo Sikoa? Hit me up on some comments, and let's see how you guys are feeling about all of this. Donzel says, too many people. Honestly, it's so much easier now to keep up. Like the first couple episodes of NXT 2.0, I felt so overwhelmed with all of the new faces that we were seeing, because we had already gotten like a new crop of talent, and then we got more, and then they were promoting more, and I was to the point where I was like, dude, I'm barely getting familiar with these other people that we've only seen for like 1 week, 2 weeks. So for me, I personally felt like pretty overwhelmed, but this time I did not feel that way, because tonight they did it a little bit more slowly, where they didn't really shove so many people down your throat there. And also points out that they both look great. I think so too. Zeno Hours says Idris looks promising. I almost wrote Idris Elba. You have no idea how many times I've wanted to say Idris instead of Idris. I have wanted to say Idris so many freaking times, and it's driving me nuts, because last week I called Elektra Lopez Carmen Electra, and that was driving me nuts. So like, damn, I try not to think about it, because the second I think about it, the second it gets in my head, I will make that mistake on the air, and you don't want to do that, but I probably will. I probably will next week. At some point, I'll probably say Idris. 554K sends in a super chat saying, sorry, this is random, but is there a way to watch your commentary online with what you did with Thunder Rosa a little while back? Yes. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Actually, do not apologize for going off topic, because this is very important. As you guys know, I'm officially part of the Mission Pro Wrestling commentary team. December 11th, we have a show in San Antonio called Silver Bells. They are partnering with the Salvation Army, so it's going to be a charity show. You can check out the show on Title Match Network. So if you're not in the San Antonio area and you can't attend the event in person, you can go to titlematchnetwork.com and you can catch the show there. And honestly, guys, I'm not just saying this because I'm part of the payroll or because I'm part of the team, but legitimately, Thunder Rosa does a phenomenal job with this show, and her entire team does a phenomenal job with this show. And the women that they bring out, there's been a lot of talk about not giving women opportunities, about there not being enough places for women to be highlighted. If you're one of those people that are like, we need to see more women's wrestling, this is definitely Mission Pro. Check it out. And I'm not just saying that because I'm part of the team. Legitimately, go check it out. There was some really good stuff on the show that I just last did. Check that one out. That one was really fun. And then we have Silver Bells on December 11th, again, taking place in San Antonio. So once again, that is Title Match Network. Title Match Network is where you guys can go ahead and check out that show live. So thank you so much to 554K for sending in that super chat. All right, guys, and let's go ahead and get into this. Where are we going next? All right, after this, we get a quick match between Indi and Persia. They team up to take on Yulisa Leon and Valentina Feroz. To be honest, they didn't really need to do this match. Out of everything on NXT, they could have probably taken this one out because it was really nothing there. This was really just a story, is that Dexter Lumis is apparently no longer in the hospital. They don't know where he is. So Indi Hartwell is depressed again. She was depressed in her last match. She's depressed again. So Persia kind of has to go in there and do the work. She does the work. She gets the win for her team, and that is it. There's nothing else to say. Let's get into another new performer that is being announced. So we were talking about all of these new faces. We're getting another one, and this is Draco Anthony. So Draco Anthony, they play this vignette. A guy, he's sitting in a cafe drinking a coffee, I'm assuming. I don't know. He had a mug. And he basically says that he's not what NXT needs, that he's not what NXT wants, but he's what NXT needs. So a little bit about him. He wrestled on 205 Live already. So he made his debut on 205 Live. His real name is Chase Cruz, but he was known as Blake Cortez while he was working Reality of Wrestling. And he trained under WWE Hall of Famer Booker T, who also runs that. So he's a Booker T student. Booker T was obviously raving about him when he got signed. He also was signed off of the SummerSlam tryouts. So the ones that literally just happened this August, the ones where freaking Idris was from. Same thing with Draco Anthony, was also from that signing. So it's pretty interesting, like how fast they're putting these guys on TV, where it's like 1 second, SummerSlam weekend, they're getting hired, and bam, what, September, October, November, 3 months later, now they're on TV. So so that's who he is. So we'll see how he does. I didn't watch his 205 Live stuff because you guys know I do not watch 205 Live. So I do not know if he's good or not, but we'll see what happens. I mean, given the fact that 3 weeks, 3 months, and he's now on NXT television, cool. Based on what we saw from Idris, I'm assuming that this guy is going to probably be on that level too, given how fast that they're putting them out there on NXT. So we'll see what happens there. All right, guys. And we do have a comment from Justin Martin about the Indi thing, saying this Indi thing is pretty ridiculous. He only broke his hand. It's not like he's paralyzed or something. Yeah, they're making this very dramatic. Like the guy didn't he's not paralyzed, like you said. He's not in a wheelchair. Boy broke his arm, and they're making it like a whole totally thing. Like they're making it seem like he's dying, and Indi Hartwell should be so depressed for Dexter Lumis and all of this. Yeah, I don't know. I do not know. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on. And also we did get the sleeping person in the back. It's not a guy, it's a girl, FYI. And I think I got a lot of people saying that they think it's Karen Q. And I think so too. I think it's Karen Q as well. I couldn't really tell that well because she's still wearing the sleeping mask on the eyes, but I do think it might be her. So we'll see. All right, guys, and let's go ahead and jump into the main event, everybody. So main event, we had Johnny Gargano versus Braun Breaker in a WarGames Advantage ladder match, and this was really good, guys. So first of all, I didn't think we were gonna get Johnny Gargano versus Braun Breaker. I didn't really pay that much attention to who I thought the fans were gonna vote for, because we all know it doesn't really matter. You know, I'm not 10 anymore. I don't believe, I used to believe, remember when they did freaking Taboo Tuesday and they had the fans voting on all of that stuff? I used to go out and I used to vote because I thought that stuff was legit, man. I used to vote. All right. So after that, I don't vote anymore. I stopped voting. But anyways, before we get into that, Nick Grasso, dude, thank you so much for this awesome super chat. Nick Grasso sends in a super chat saying, how long before they start calling Braun Breaker Big Papa Nephew or Dog Face Son? I don't agree with Dakota Kai going to the main roster because I think she will end up like Tegan Nox. I think Dexter Lumis is getting cut next. I don't like to predict somebody getting cut because at the end of the day, it's like, people's jobs and, having a job is important and all of that. But Dakota Kai, like, that's the thing. Like, she would be great on the main roster, but people are always afraid of seeing people go to the main roster because you never know what their future is going to look like. You never know, man. Like, they could be like freaking Karrion Kross. They could be, like you mentioned, Tegan Nox. And who knows? Like, let's say they would have had Dakota Kai on the main roster prior to these cuts. We don't know what her future could have looked like. We don't know what they see and what they don't see. We have no idea. And in terms of like the Braun Breaker stuff, I think it's harmless that they do this type of stuff. I think it's funny. We'll see where they go with that. Thank you so much to Nick Grasso for that very kind super chat, BTW. M. Durred says, LOL, Taboo Tuesday, Cyber Sunday was a thing too. Yeah, that's right. I used to vote on all of that stuff, guys. All right, so here we go. Let's get into this main event, though. Johnny Gargano, Braun Breaker. This was some good stuff, guys. This was really fun. So the story of this match here that they were telling is that Johnny Gargano is obviously the more experienced person in this match. He's had his fair share of ladder matches, has had his fair share of experience on NXT, period. They don't call him Johnny Wrestling for no reason. So that's the story that you're getting here. So he kind of runs circles around Braun Breaker a little bit. He's really quick. You see Johnny Gargano moving in and about the ring. You see him utilize the ladder. But then you start to see Braun Breaker utilize his power. And that is kind of what helps him, keep his ground in this match. So what you got here was a very, very entertaining match. Some of my favorite spots that we saw was that slingshot spear from Johnny Gargano to Braun Breaker. That was really fun. We see Gargano literally tossing Breaker off of the ladder. That was a good spot too. We see Breaker finally gets the upper hand in this match, or gets a little bit of some momentum going when Johnny Gargano is holding up the ladder and Braun Breaker literally uses his power to like run straight into the ladder. I think he hits it in with like his elbow. His shoulder, hits that. So it ends up essentially all of his force and all of his momentum ends up essentially landing on Johnny Gargano. So that was a really good spot. We see Breaker hit a killer, very impressive belly-to-belly suplex on Johnny Gargano, which looked like he killed Johnny Gargano because it was literally right onto the ladder. So that was massive. And then just when you thought Braun Breaker was going to get the best of Johnny Gargano, Braun Breaker goes to the top rope. He goes for an elbow on Johnny Gargano, who's laying on the ladder, but Johnny Gargano moves out of the way, and Braun Breaker ends up essentially landing on the ladder, which caused him a lot of pain. So that was really good there too. The crowd really was into this match. I think this was the most hyped I've seen the Capitol Wrestling Center in quite some time. They were very invested in this match, chanting, this is awesome, etc. So that was good too. We see a nice super kick from Johnny Gargano into Braun Breaker. That was fun. We see Gargano hit his awesome DDT on Braun Breaker. They both make it to the top of the ladder. But Johnny Gargano ends up hitting Braun Breaker with the briefcase. That knocks down Braun Breaker, but Braun Breaker gets back up, runs back up on the ladder. Johnny Gargano gets knocked out of there, and Braun Breaker ends up getting the win here. So I will say this match was phenomenal. The finish was a little bit weak. I didn't think that the finish was like, oh my God. I think they missed the OMG factor on the actual finish, but the entire match was really good. Braun Breaker gets the win, so now his team essentially gets the advantage as well heading into this WarGames match. Also, while you guys get your thoughts in on this, I do need to go ahead and, oh, damn it. Oh, sorry. I did not mean to curse. I did wanted to get I want to do quick predictions before we wrap up this show here, but I forgot to upload the damn card. So give me 1 second as I get this card up here. Talk about not being prepared. All right, here we go. I got it. All right, so send in your guys' thoughts on how you guys felt about this main event, and then we're going to go in really quickly and talk about these NXT War Games predictions here. And let's see what we got here. People pointing out that this was a really good main event. M. Durrett says, watch Braun Breaker have a big spot in the Rumble this year. He should. I think he should. I don't see why not. Matt69 says fans of old NXT will be gratified for this episode. You know, I'm glad that you bring that up because at the top of the stream, I mentioned that this was probably the best episode of NXT 2.0. And I only think that the reason for that is that we got shades, and I mean little tiny shades of the old NXT, little glimpses. And by that, I mean we had some really good, we had a good opener and we had a good ending. It was nowhere near what you saw in the old NXT, but it was a little glimpse of the old NXT, just a glimpse. A tad bit there. And let's see what we got here. All right. This one is from Michael Jefferson, who says, I wonder which team is going to win at War Games. Will the new school cement themselves or will the old school have one last ride? Well, let's get into this. Let's talk about this. So let's get the predictions going. So we got Raquel, the women's War Games match. We got Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai, Cora Jade, and Kaylee Ray versus Dakota Kai. And Toxic Attraction. Personally, I think given how hot Toxic Attraction has been, I personally think that they should get the win in this match. But then again, they don't have, okay, so the persons that have the advantage on this is Kaylee Ray, Raquel, Io, and Dakota. And no, excuse me, yeah, Dakota, Kaylee, Cora, and Io and Raquel. Damn, they should give them a freaking team name because I'm just, anyways. So they have the advantage in this match, but personally, I do think that it should be Toxic Attraction who gets this win during this match along with Dakota Kai. I think they should get the win during this match here. And we got a lot of people basically saying that they also believe that Toxic Attraction is going to win this match. I think so too. I really think so too. And all right, let's get into this next match. Cameron Grimes versus Duke Hudson. This is hair versus hair. I think that the reason they're doing hair versus hair is because Cameron Grimes is losing this one. So I do see Duke Hudson winning this match. Then we have Imperium, Fabian Eichner, Marcel Barthel defending the NXT tag team titles against Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner. Personally, even though I like Imperium, I just kind of feel like they are, if they're going to ride this thing out with Von Wagner and really push him, because it seems like they are, like he's one of the guys that they have their eyes set on. And I don't think they would put him in here with Kyle O'Reilly for no reason. So I do think we're going to be seeing new NXT tag team champions crowned. It will be a very short run for Imperium. Very short run, but I do think that it's going to be Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner winning this one. Roderick Strong versus Joe Gacy. Roderick Strong defending his NXT Cruiserweight Championship. I'm a little bit torn on this one because I still think Roderick Strong should hold the title. I don't even think has he even defended the title? I don't even think so. So I still think that he should remain champion. I think that they could still tell a little bit of a longer story here. So I don't think that the end all be all here is Joe Gacy winning the title. So I do think Roderick Strong retains. Lastly, we got the men's War Games match, the new NXT and the old NXT, which is the old NXT, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, and Allie Knight versus Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Grayson Waller, and Tony D'Angelo. Personally here, and we do have the the new NXT 2.0 essentially with the War Games advantage here, but I am gonna say that I do think the new NXT 2.0 needs to win. I think if you really want to cement the new NXT 2.0, they got to get the win in this War Games match. It makes sense for them to be the winners here tonight, but will they do it? I do not know. We will find out, ladies and gentlemen. We will find out. Alrighty, guys. Let's get some last minute opinions, and then I'll go ahead and wrap up this stream. This one's from Malcolm Mitchell, who says, new NXT will win, 99% confident in that. Jordan Booth says 2.0 lads winning is a must, hopefully with my baby Tony getting the pin. And we got Donzel also saying the new NXT 2.0, guys. Pretty much everybody here has the new NXT 2.0 winning. Brandon says, is Joe Gacy a cruiserweight in what universe? Brandon, you're going to get called out by Joe Gacy for weight shaming him. I'm just joking, but that goes along with the character there. And let's see what else we got here. Any other comments that I want to make sure we get here? Sour Machine Gun predicts that LA Knight is taking the pin. It feels like that's, if anyone's going to take the pin, it should be LA Knight, but we'll see what's going to happen here. But we got everybody saying to the new team, the new NXT 2.0 team is going to win. Alrighty, guys, there you go. That is NXT 2.0, the go home show heading into NXT WarGames. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter and or on Instagram at _ Denise Salcedo. I live tweet during all of these shows and more. I am on Twitter every single day. Also, I am so close to hitting 50K. I'm about to hit 45K. I'm like literally less than 100 followers away. And then I have exactly 1 month left this year to try to hit 50K, which is my goal for the end of the year. I want to start 2022 with 50K on Twitter. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see if it will. But if you guys haven't followed me just yet, please make sure you do so. Also, I do tweet throughout all of the shows, so you guys can look out for those as well. Additionally, if you haven't already, make sure to go over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Click that subscribe button, and while you're there, make sure to head on over to F4W Online. You're already here. Make sure to click that subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitch, listening to the audio version of this, make some time, head on over to youtube.com, search up F4W Online, and click that subscribe button. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite. Bye, everyone. Have a great night.